Welcome back to the channel. We're back in our Avatar Commander deck profile. Today with Sokka and Suki. For a blue, a red, and a white, you get a 3/3, where whenever Sokka and Suki or another ally you control enters, attach out to one target equipment you control to that creature. Whenever an equipment you control enters, create a 1/1 white ally creature token. So with this deck, we have a whole bunch of ways to benefit off of running equipment, ways to benefit off of having a lot of creatures with equipment on them. This way, you could keep on playing those artifacts that are equipment, attach them up to that ally that we just created thanks to Sokka and Suki's ability. They just pairs well with each other. Um, give something to Meteor Sword, give someone the Kyoshi fan. I don't think we actually run either of those in here. We run some other fun stuff though that just works as the artifacts. Not that many ways to like really benefit off like ally synergy. Like you have a couple ways, but it's mostly just only way you're like really benefit off from getting the allies is through the casting of equipments. And you're gonna be creating a bunch of allies with this ability as well, so you do have like some ways to benefit off having a bunch of creatures. That's just a general overview of the deck though. Let's get into it card by card. Starting us off, we have Adaptive Omni Tool. Equip creatures +1/+1 for each artifact you control. We're creating a bunch of equipment. Sorry, we're putting a lot of equipment on the board, so that's going to be a lot of power on that creature. Then, whenever that creature attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library, reveal an artifact from among them, put it into your hand, rest onto the bottom. Puts it into our hand, not onto the battlefield, so we don't get an ally that's equipped to. But still, we'll be able to get that next turn. Aether and Preorwin. Equip creature has base power and toughness XX, where X is your life total. We don't really care about the equip cost for most of these cards because they're getting equipped right onto that creature. So why should we stop at having just a 1/1 when we could have a potentially 40/40 for just 6 mana? I think that's a pretty good deal for what we're going for. Undural, Narsil Reforged, Ascend, giving us a Seize Blessing with 10 or more permanents. Not going to be that hard to do, especially with getting those tokens. And whenever an equipped creature whenever equipped creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. If you had a Seize Blessing, put 2 instead. Definitely with all those allies we're creating, giving them that much more of a stat boost is going to be super helpful with this deck. Like I said, not that hard to get the Seize Blessing with this one either. Arcane Signet for some mana. Simulation Aegis, whenever Simulation Aegis enters, exile to one target creature until this card leaves the battlefield. Whenever Simulation Aegis becomes attached to a creature, for as long as the Simulation, don't know how many times I can say that fast, basically it becomes a creature it exiles. Okay, get rid of your opponent's besting, and now you have their besting. And it gets attached right onto that ally you got, so we like to see it. Blackblade Reforged, equip creatures +1/+1 for each land you control. Big stat boost on a creature that you have on the board already. Especially if we already have like 5 mana worth of lands on the board. We like to see it. Where were we? Bloodforged Battle Axe. I think this is probably my favorite card in the deck, just because the way of Sokka and Suki's ability works is because it's whenever the equipment you control enters. Because this is whenever an equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, create a token that's a copy of Bloodforged Battle Axe. So you basically get right onto the ally that you just created thanks to this thing's ability, because it entered the battlefield as getting another copy. Colossus Hammer, +10/+10, loses flying, a 1 mana 11/11, while Sokka and Suki are on the board, essentially, because we're not worrying about that equip cost of 8. Conqueror's Flail, equip creatures +1/+1 for each color among permanents you control, so essentially +3/+3, pretty good stat line there. As long as this equipment is attached to a creature, your opponent can't cast spells during your turn. Yeah, I mean, like, we don't want to get counterspelled, we don't want to get our stuff removed, we don't want to get aetherized, so that'll just prevent all that, along with having a 2 mana 4/4. Excalibur, Sword of Eden, spell cost X less to cast for X's whole mana value among historic permanents, aka all those artifacts that we've been going through so far. Equip creature is +10/+0 and has vigilance. Normally you can only equip it onto a legendary creature, but thanks to the way Sokka and Suki's ability works, you'll be able to get an 11/0 with vigilance. Sorry, an 11/1 with vigilance, not 11/0. With vigilance for the low price of 0 mana potentially. Felwar Stone for some additional mana. Lightning Grease to give our creatures haste. This way they can attack the turn they come down. This one we probably won't keep on like the same ally every turn. We'll move it on to whatever other ally we get. Masterwork of Ingenuity. May as well get a second copy of like Excalibur, Conqueror's Flail, Colossus Hammer. Something that just gives us a really strong creature. Nettle Cyst, living weapon, equip creatures +1/+1 for each artifact or enchantment you control. Um, Thanks to the way Sokka and Suki's ability works, is whenever Sokka or Suki or another ally you control enters, attach up to one target equipment you control to that creature. It doesn't have to be the artifact that just entered the board. It could be any artifact that you have. So put this on to like the 1/1 ally rather than paying that equip cost. Let's see it. Paradise Mantle. It's an equipment that allows us to tap our creature for mana, giving us a mana Dorkin Jeskai. Skull Clamp. It's basically a 1 mana draw too with this deck. Or like if you just get another artifact, you just get more draw power. I think it's worth it. Soul Ring for some additional mana. Stoneforge Masterwork. Equip creatures +1/+1 for each other creature you control that shares a creature type with it. We're creating a bunch of allies. So that'll be a pretty strong creature we got. Swiftfoot Boots, another way to give our creatures a little bit of protection there. Sword of Feast and Famine. Whenever a creature deals common damage to a player, that player discards a card, untap all lands you control, getting more equipment onto the battlefield. Sword of the Animist. Basically the one that ramps us for a little bit. Sword of the Squeak. My favorite one, in all honesty. Equip creatures +1/+1 for each creature you control, base power and toughness 1. That's all of our creatures. Most of our creatures. Sokka and Suki, I think, were 3/3. Yep, they're 3/3. Yeah. And then you don't have any hamsters, mouse, rat, or squirrels, so you're not really worried about that part. But it's going to be a strong creature you got. Trusty Boomerang. Creature has 1 tap target creature. Return Trusty Boomerang to your hand. Pay 1 more. Get our token. Keep on playing this card again and again. Wrecking Ball Arm. Basically 2 mana 7/7. Well, I'd take that deal. For our creatures, we have a Kiri, Fearless Voyager. Whenever you attack a player, 1 or more equipped creatures, draw a card. We'll be spreading the love, attacking as many opponents as possible. I just realized I didn't put that the Boros Sephiroth in this deck. That should be a pretty good addition if you guys want to run in here. Also allows you to pay 1 to move around your equipment. Nope, not move it around. From a creature, allows you to unattach your equipment, protect your creatures. Sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not. Cloud, Midgard Mercenary, may as well search out our best artifact, getting us our Excalibur or something like that. Dalikos, Crafter, Wonders. Another way to get our equipments out for a little bit cheaper, along with giving our creatures haste so that we could use their abilities to turn they come down. Frieren, I don't think that's how it's actually pronounced. Furion, Wild Rose Warrior. 3/3, whenever a non-token equipment you control enters, create a token that's a copy of it, except it equips for 2 less, but thanks to it entering, that's another ally we're getting. The equipment goes away, but the ally does not at the end of the turn. Halavar, God of Battle. Creatures controlled that are enchanted or equipped have double strike. All of our we're trying to have a lot of equipped creatures. We like to see it. You also equip a lot of equipment onto him as well if you like. Joyra, Wedlight Captain for some draw power. Nahiri, Forged in Fury, Affinity for equipments. We're trying to have a bunch because we're going for low casting cost, high equip cost for this deck. Whenever equipped creature you control attacks, aka 1 or more. Sorry, that doesn't say 1 or more. So you have to do it with all of your creatures. That's really good payoff. Getting us some free equipment, getting us some free allies. Pure Steel Paladin for some extra draw power, along with some free equip costs, especially because we can only equip our stuff the turn they come down for the most part. So having 0 equip costs is going to be helpful. Sokka, Tenacious Tactician. Other allies you control have Menace and Prowess. Prowess counts for your non-creature spell, so it counts for your other artifacts. We like to see it. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 white ally creature token. Allows us to swing in with our allies a little bit easier. SRAM, Senior Edificer for some draw power. Stonehaven Outfitter, a little bit more draw power there. Sorry, a little bit draw power with himself. And some stat boost there. Stoneforge Mystic for some surge power. And Reality Chip. Or cast spells from the top of the library. On to the second half of the deck. There we go. For our enchantments, we have Forge Anew in order to move around our equipment a little bit easier. Intangible Virtue, buff up our ally tokens, along with giving them vigilance. This way they could also protect us the next turn. Kindred Discovery, whenever a creature you control of the chosen type enters, doesn't matter about being cast, he gets to draw a card. We're going to choose ally. Mantle of the Ancients. Um, if our opponent Vandalize us, we don't want to be just dead in the water. We want to have something that'll bring all of them back. And this way we could, it doesn't care about for Sokka and Suki's ability, it doesn't care about them being cast, so if they come back with Mantle of Ancients, you get a whole bunch more allies, you just get to put this onto all of them. Scar's Aid for some uh, flash speed, moving our equipments around. We like to see it. Whirl on the dot, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you get to draw a card. We like draw power. We like casting non-creature spells. Offer you can't refuse helps us counterspell that Vandal as we just mentioned. Same with Arcane Denial. Chaos War for some to get rid of our opponent's worst thing, give them the best thing out of their deck. Yeah, something like that. Clever Concealment. Any number of target non-land permanents, so not just creatures, phase out, allowing us a little bit more protection there. Counterspell for counterspell. Dispatch. We're going to be having 3 or more artifacts, so we get to exile a creature for 1. Same as Swords of Battle Shares and Path to Exile. Flawless Maneuver for some Indestructible. Dovin's Veto for a counterspell. Inventory Management in order to get all of our equipment attached onto one creature. This way we have something to block our opponent with that they weren't expecting. An Untimely Malfunction. Some protection, some removal. Really just a good card. Blasphemous Act for a board wipe. Hour of Reckoning. Destroy all non-token creatures. Probably just our opponent's stuff, none of ours. Open the Armory. Search power for our best equipment. Raise the Palisade. Psychotic Rift for our opponent's cards, none of our allies. Steel Shaper's Gift, some more search power. Voyage Home for some more draw power. And Wake the Past in order to get all of our stuff that was Vandal Blasted back from the graveyard. Overall, really excited for Sokka and Suki, especially with this deck. If you guys want to have a commander you guys would like to see, make sure you leave it down there in the comment section. We'll be trying to get to some more, Avatar ones, or we have other ones you'd like to see. Like I said, leave it down in the comment section. We'll do our best to cover it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great day.